Welcome to a new video where I'm going to give you my thoughts on Forza Horizon 6. I will tell you everything I noticed, both positive and negative, during the 100 hours of gameplay I spent on it. I've spent over 100 hours playing, between the first early access and the second, which I'm currently on as I record this video. It's been a very long time since I spent so much time on a game, and it allowed me to really test a lot of things in Horizon 6. All the new features, all the game modes, a large part of the new cars, a large part of the map as well. I even got to test the multiplayer mode, so I really got a complete overview. And today I'm going to tell you everything I thought about it, so you'll know for yourself if it's a game you might be interested in buying or not. If you ever get the chance to try Horizon 6 yourself, feel free to use the comment section to share what you thought about it, whether you liked it or not, whether you want to talk about the positive or negative things you noticed about the game. And if after watching this video you want to buy Horizon 6, don't forget that it's up to 30% cheaper through my instant gaming link, which you'll find below this video, in the pinned comment, and in the description. For your information, you can save up to 40 euros on the big version of Horizon 6, the premium version. Let's start with a major positive, obviously the map. The map is incredible. I think that everyone who says Horizon 6 is just Horizon 5 in Japan underestimates how much a well-designed map can completely change a game. Not only is the map much bigger here, in fact, Forza Horizon 6's version of Japan is over 200 square kilometers, while Horizon 5 was limited to around 120. But above all, we have a map that is much more varied. In Horizon 6, it's much more enjoyable to explore. The city itself is monumental. It's the biggest city we've ever had in the history of Forza Horizon. It's filled with details. There is an unbelievable number of roads to explore, just in Tokyo alone. Because in addition to the regular roads, there's a highway that runs overhead. And on top of that, there are tunnels and underground passages. It's extremely dense, and above all, it's a real modern city. It really stands out from the last two Forza Horizon games, where the developers chose more traditional, older cities. Those were very beautiful, but they had a very different atmosphere. We're in the city center, surrounded by shops, hotels, and skyscrapers. And if we move away a bit, we'll find an area with docks. And on the other side, there's still a very urban area, but more residential, with houses, small gardens, and homes. Even in the city center, big differences exist. There are historic buildings like Tokyo Station, and parks offering calm and serenity that sharply contrast with the bustling areas just 2 streets away. So the city is massive, but it's also quite pleasant to explore, thanks to the highways, the off-road network, but also because there are quite a few hidden roads that let you pass between different buildings, and sometimes even go right through a building, like through shopping arcades, for example. And overall, the city feels much more lively than in previous Forza Horizon games, because there are a lot more pedestrians, but also because there's quite a bit more traffic. Let me make a quick aside about that, because I know traffic is something that's often brought up in the comments on Horizon 6 videos. Yes, honestly, in Japan, in a big city like Tokyo, there are definitely more people on the roads, but there are still areas here in the game where there's a lot of traffic. The amount of traffic depends on where you are on the map. Obviously, in the mountains, there are fewer people on the roads than in the city, but it also depends on the time of day and the neighborhoods. And when you get on the highway near Tokyo, there are actually quite a lot of people, at least enough that you have to be careful to weave properly between the different cars and traffic. So obviously I've talked a lot about the city, but the rest of the map is really cool too. First, the mountainous area in the north with the return of snow is also beautiful. There's a totally different atmosphere, which is paradoxically quite warm, with all the little wooden chalets and the small lanterns that light up at night along the ski slopes. When you get close, you'll find many mountain roads that often feel like those in Europe, reminding me of landscapes in Switzerland or the French Alps. We have 2 coastal areas that are very different. One is wilder, while the other is a bit more tamed by people, a bit more touristy. In both cases, the coastal roads are beautiful. I mention it because personally, I really love coastal roads. Driving by the sea, driving with the sun setting, or rising over the water, it creates really beautiful scenes. And here, in this game, I was really satisfied. We have the west coast where there's a more laid-back vibe. The water is pretty calm, almost flat with no waves. Sometimes you pass through small fishing villages, where only the cries of seagulls will disturb the peaceful atmosphere. While in the east, there are more big roads, even highways, that go over the water, between 2 tunnels in the mountains. There are large forests, and of course there's a small, flatter area in the middle of the map, with some agricultural fields. There's still a calm atmosphere here. A unique vibe that makes you want to stop by the side of the road and sit down at a picnic table. And all over the map, there are lots of hidden spots, some a bit remote, each one more detailed than the last, that really make you want to stop, even if it's just to take a picture. And there are really some unique landscapes that you won't find anywhere else in the game. So that's for the visual aspect. Then, from a gameplay and practical standpoint, The map is overall much more enjoyable to explore than the one in Horizon 5 for the simple reason that this map is much more vertical. There are ups and downs everywhere, and lots of winding turns across a good part of the map. If you love highways and want to rack up speed points, you'll be happy. There's a highway circling the entire map, like in Horizon 1, but much larger. But indeed, if you're a fan of drifting or just enjoy small country roads, Horizon 6 has some really great roads to offer you. There are more than 650 different roads in the game to discover, and I think that because of its design and the fact that it's much more vertical too, it becomes more complicated than in Horizon 5 to cross it in a straight line, because we'll have to deal with a lot more mountains and terrain that we won't necessarily be able to cross with every car. That, combined with the fact that the map is bigger and offers more roads, means that we have a map here that I think will be pretty hard to get tired of, especially since the graphics of the game are really beautiful, and they let us enjoy a Forza Horizon 6 map with a level of detail that we've literally never had before in a Forza game. The thing is, I think to really notice it, you have to actually get the chance to play the game yourself and especially play it either on Series X or on PC, because due to the lower resolution on Series S, you don't quite get the same level of detail. I played my first early access session on Xbox Series X and the second on my PC. On Series X, the visuals looked much better than Horizon 5 on my PC. When I went back to Horizon 5, I kept checking my graphics settings to make sure they were maxed, since it looked so simple to me. When I switched to PC, I was truly amazed by the graphics, since the classic Forza style was still recognizable, even though it's going to get harder and harder in the coming years to really surprise players. In terms of graphics, because we're getting games that are so realistic that in the end, it's really going to come down to the small details. When you objectively compare the graphics in Horizon 6 to those in Horizon 5, you can see there's still a noticeable difference. So yes, it's going to come down to details. For example, the road, actually, the look of the asphalt. Well, here, it really looks like real asphalt. The way the lights and car headlights look, even just the fact that when you change cars, the lighting will be different. A car with yellow headlights will shine yellow, while a car with LED headlights will really shine with a very modern, ultra-blue light. The headlights will reflect in the mist, and you'll see the dust rising from the different types of dirt and sand that can be kicked up by a passing vehicle. The water looks beautiful, now with real waves unlike Horizon 5's surface waves. The vegetation is also much denser, including trees, bushes, and grass. It looks much more realistic than the grass in Horizon 5, which seems simpler by comparison. Overall, Horizon 6's details are cleaner and more realistic than in Horizon 5. And here, I've only talked to you about the map, because you should know that the same treatment has been applied to the cars. Compare the look, even just the metallic paint on the cars in Horizon 5 to Horizon 6, and you'll see there's a clear difference. In Horizon 6, you can really see the details of the cars. You can see the sparkles in the metallic paint, with real reflections, whereas when you take the same cars in Horizon 5 with the same paint, well, the lack of reflections and the lack of detail make it feel like there are flat surfaces all over the car. The paint jobs here are extremely detailed, with many details reworked. In general, the rendering of the headlights, for example, or if you zoom in, you can really see all the LEDs inside the headlights, all the details you can find on the plastic of the headlights, but also the different materials. You can see the difference between plastic, carbon, leather, Alcantara. Even though, and on this point, I want to be very clear, in terms of car modeling and details, we're not on the same level as what Gran Turismo 7 or Assetto Corsa Evo offers. All the cars are still much more detailed than in Horizon 5 and look much better and much more realistic. And speaking of the cars, you should know that for me, the driving is clearly one of the big positives of Forza Horizon 6. I expected that since Horizon 5 was more arcade than 4, which itself was more arcade than 3, which itself was more arcade than 2. Horizon 6 would follow this trend, but not really. In my opinion, the driving in Horizon 6, whether with a controller or a steering wheel, is also more realistic than in Horizon 5, which I think makes the game easier. What I mean by that is that a lot of people think simulation equals difficult and arcade equals easy. Sometimes, and I think that's the case with this Horizon 6 when a game tries to be more realistic, and when it, like in this one for example, takes into account a new suspension model and a new tire model, the reactions of the cars become more realistic and are closer to what we expect to see. When you turn, when you brake, when you go over a bump or a jump, it simply becomes easier to understand the car, easier to know how to react. That was my experience. What I criticized about Horizon 5 is that by making it more arcade-like, they smoothed out the driving, making the car models feel more similar and reducing driving sensations, especially with a steering wheel. Most cars, except a few extremes, felt similar to drive. I think that's missing in Horizon 6. First, the game now handles weight better, making the driving experience much more distinct between light and heavy cars, thanks to more neutral physics. What I didn't like about Horizon 5 is that the physics were quite understeery, meaning that the cars generally tended not to turn enough. Here, I think the developers chose a more neutral approach and really decided to allow for more difference in this aspect between the different cars. There are several details about the physics that I wanted to share with you in this video, because they might matter to you. You should know that overall, even at high speed, the cars will benefit from more aerodynamic downforce than in Horizon 5. Basically, what I mean by that is that a sporty car that's been well upgraded and well-tuned won't let you down and will handle properly at high speeds and corners, which wasn't necessarily the case in Horizon 5. Sometimes there was an unpredictable loss of grip. The car's speeds are generally more realistic than in Horizon 5, so of course in the game it's still possible to find cars that can go well over 450 km/h. But since aerodynamics are handled better, apart from a few exceptions, cars tend to reach slightly lower top speeds. It's true that in Horizon 5 after a while, it just got out of hand. Cars with the right tuning and upgrades could exceed 440 km/h. But that's not true in Horizon 6. Some cars still offer driving modes, like switching from sport to race mode, which instantly changes driving parameters. There's telemetry that lets you get a whole bunch of real-time information about your car, so you know exactly what to tune or upgrade to change how it drives. And we also have much more realistic tire behavior, meaning that when the road is dry, having slick tires gives you much more grip than semi-slicks or sport tires. However, when the road gets wet, slicks have much less grip than regular tires. Unlike in previous Forza Horizon games, when you installed slick tires, it told the game to boost the car's grip no matter the circumstances. Now, that's no longer the case. Each tire really has its own advantages and disadvantages. By the way, a small detail regarding the tires, it's more of a visual detail. But know that in this Horizon, the tires will wear down as you drive, and their tread and grooves will become less and less deep as you rack up the miles. It doesn't affect the driving, but it's still a cool little extra detail. We also have a much better sense of speed than in Horizon 5 for the simple reason that it was literally taken from the latest Forza Motorsport, which didn't have many positive points, but did have a really good sense of speed. So, it's achieved through vibrations, through a field of view that changes slightly. These are little tricks that make you feel the speed better. Even if it's not perfect yet, it's definitely much better than in 5. Another big positive point, and here too I think the developers really listened to player feedback about 5, is the career mode. Its organization and the sense of progression are much better. First of all, this time we're not going to start the game's story with huge cars. We're going to start with intermediate performance category cars. The career mode is organized so that you gradually move up in car performance. At the beginning, you'll only have races in Class C or B, and then in the next chapter, you might start unlocking some races in Class A, which is a bit higher in performance. 2 or 3 chapters later, you might be in Class S1 and S2, and then in the final chapters, you'll really be using the best cars in the game in Classes R and X. Keep in mind, though, that this doesn't apply to all types of events. It applies to street races, cross-country races, and dirt races. In multiplayer, obviously, it will depend on the event you want to start. In Rivals mode, it will depend on the performance category you choose. In the open world, there are no limits. Drive any car with any performance level as long as you've bought or obtained it. Street races are the game's less official, semi-illegal events, and you can use any car you want. And target races, which is a new game mode, by the way, that's also one of the new features I enjoyed, where you'll be dueling at night in races that are, let's say, more difficult and more technical than usual, with really winding tracks and lots of mountain roads. These events will require you to use cars from a predefined performance category, except that it doesn't necessarily relate to the chapter you're in, for the simple reason that street, dirt, and cross-country races will really depend on your progression in the game. You'll unlock them as you go, while street races, target races, and story events will unlock as you explore the map. By the way, since we're talking about exploration, keep in mind that racing isn't the only thing that will help you progress in the game, because actually, literally everything you do in Horizon 6 counts toward your career progression and helps you advance on 2 different career trees. The first tree in the logbook is the Horizon Festival, and it's much more focused on racing and performance. And on the other side, you'll find the Japan Discovery tree, which is more focused on side activities, exploration, stories, and the different jobs you can have in the game. 2 different trees that will allow you to unlock different things in the game. The first one will let you discover new races, while the second one, for example, will allow you to unlock new barn finds or new bonus cars, both of which are systems that let you unlock new cars for free. Hidden cars, either directly in the open world or in barns that you will have to discover in predefined areas. I think it's a very good idea to have structured the career in this way, because if you're really a fan of racing, of speed, you can progress in the game by doing races in the traditional way. And if you're more like me, that is, a tourist, you enjoy driving around and testing cars, not just racing. You can still unlock many things, earn money, and level up in the game. Another small detail about the career mode in Forza Horizon 6. I haven't finished it, so I don't know how long it lasts. What you need to know is that, anyway, Forza Horizon games are live service games, with regular updates added to the game. And actually, you can only finish Forza Horizon 6 at 100% when the very last season has been released. Maybe in 4, 5, or 6 years. They add new challenges and sometimes new parts to career mode. I don't know the exact lifespan of Forza Horizon 6, but it's longer than Horizon 5, because it includes all Horizon 5 activities plus new ones. So, we're going to see the return of the Illuminator, the return of hide-and-seek mode, the return of stories. And on top of that, there will be new activities. For example, competitive open-world modes like Time Attack and Drag Mit mode, which are competitive events with no loading times. You can start them directly when you reach a checkpoint, at the entrance of a circuit or a drag strip. To compare your times with those of other players running the same car category as you, there are also new job-type activities, like becoming a food delivery driver, which let you unlock exclusive rewards. These activities are quite varied overall, and they add a bit of roleplay, a bit of RP and realism to the game, because within the company where you'll be working, you'll be able to climb the ranks all the way up to becoming the boss. And you'll get a kind of daily income whenever you log into the game. Also, in my opinion, they really made a good choice with this. Here, the game's economy is still pretty slow compared to Horizon 5. But don't worry, it's not like The Crew, where you have to grind for 4 hours just to buy a car. Here, you can regularly buy or unlock new bases and cars, sometimes for free. However, it's less frequent and slower than in Forza Horizon 5. Horizon 5 was really extreme. We were getting tons of rewards all the time. To give you a little idea of the progression speed, know that in the 50 hours of gameplay I just did on the second early access of Forza Horizon 6, I reached level 129. I have 76 cars. I had about 60 wheel spins because you don't win wheel spins every level anymore, but every other level. And only, if I'm not mistaken, 3 super wheel spins. If I played Horizon 5 for the same time, I'd likely be near level 200. I probably would have had between 150 and 200 cars in my garage, probably between 150 and 200 wheel spins, and probably around 30 super wheel spins. So, the economy here is slower, which means we might change cars a little less often, or maybe we won't upgrade all our cars as systematically to the max, which I think is actually a good thing in the long run. It will take more time to get all the cars, it will take more time to upgrade them all. Even so, let me reassure you again, this isn't a grindy game. They've just toned it down a bit compared to Horizon 5. And to reassure you as well, I would say that what has really disappeared in terms of Horizon 6's economy compared to Horizon 5 is all the rewards that just fell from the sky for no reason. Anyone who races often or explores the map quickly in the game can easily buy high-end cars. You just can't expect everything to be given to you like in Horizon 5, where rewards were everywhere and we didn't always know why we got them. To finish, I have 2 positive points that may seem a bit less important, but they're still positives for me. The first is that at first glance, the game updates and DLCs are quite promising in terms of content. The list of the first cars in the car pass is much more appealing than the one in Forza Horizon 4, for example. The list of free cars for the first season is also pretty good. I'm not sure I can show this to you or share this info before it's released, but there are several cars the community has requested. And the first 2 car packs announced are cool too. The Italian car pack has only very interesting cars in it, and the Time Attack pack is also full of cars you actually want to drive. They're not old cars that you don't really know where they come from or that have no real appeal, like was often the case in Horizon 4. Also, something that's really nice is the return of the car meet mode, which will simply let you go to parking lots to meet up with other players, check out their cars up close, look at their setups, maybe meet new players you can race with later, and that's all positive. And another positive point, which might be less important depending on what kind of player you are, but for me it matters. The car sounds are also much better than in Horizon 5, which was already better than Horizon 4. Here, most of the car sounds have been re-recorded, or at least heavily reworked. With all the cars I've tested in the game, I've never thought the car sounds were unrealistic or bad, even if the game isn't the best in that aspect. I think Assetto Corsa Evo has much more realistic sounds. Given there are over 500 cars, it's really impressive overall. On top of that, there are new idle sounds for the cars, new backfire sounds, crackling sounds, new transmission noises, new turbo sounds, new sounds from the interior view, new sounds for the gearbox as well. The sound difference between a stock car and the same upgraded car is now greater than before. Also, there's a small graphic detail I forgot to mention earlier. There's a little thing that's actually pretty nice, which is that cars finally emit smoke from the exhaust. It's a small detail, but before, that wasn't the case. And I almost forgot two more little things. First is the new Event Club mode. I couldn't test it in co-op since that's a new Horizon 5 feature. Building maps together with friends. I couldn't test that because none of my friends wanted to create maps. However, there's a pretty cool new feature that I was able to test. Now you can start a race wherever you want on the map, at any location, without needing there to be a starting point from an already existing event. That's great. It lets you create an event anywhere you want. And another positive point that's nice, but honestly doesn't add much to the core gameplay, is that the new garage customization mode and house customization mode are pretty comprehensive. You can do a lot of things. The interface is well designed. I didn't encounter any bugs. You can share your house and garage decorations with other players, so it works pretty well. But keep in mind that for a Forza Horizon player who's mainly going to spend time driving, it's really just a side mode. So it's a little extra, but it doesn't change everything. So I think I've covered the main positive points that I really appreciated about this Forza Horizon 6. Now, let's talk about things that aren't necessarily bad, but might be a bit disappointing, especially if you've played all the previous Forza Horizon games a lot. First, the car list. There are still 350 fewer cars than in Horizon 5, and there aren't that many real new additions. Most of the new cars featured in Forza Horizon 6 are actually returning from earlier Forza Motorsport games, so it's not a big deal. Because among them, there are some really good cars, but there aren't that many that are truly new in the history of Forza. I think there are maybe 20 at most. Of course, others will come with updates, but you have to keep in mind that with the upcoming cars in the next seasons, we're likely to see a lot of cars returning from Forza. Because, as I mentioned, the game is missing about 350 models compared to Horizon 5, and those will return in updates. So, of course, there will be real new things, there will probably be a lot, but there will also be some recycled content. But that's just my opinion as a player who has already played through the previous Forza games. If you're a new player, starting and discovering a game that offers more than 500 cars is really huge, I have to say. Especially since there are cars of every style, from every era, from every country. So there's really something for everyone. Another point that I put in the average category for reasons I'll explain is the multiplayer. The multiplayer is cool, and the new spec racing mode is interesting since everyone uses the same car, making driver skill the main factor. A key positive is that the multiplayer feels much more stable than in Horizon 5. Honestly, Horizon 5 and even Horizon 4 with their broken convoy system, I think I can count on my fingers the number of multiplayer sessions I've had without a disconnection in the past 5 years. Here, I was able to test the multiplayer before the game's official release by playing against other streamers, YouTubers, and journalists with early access. I experienced no desyncs, lag, or loading issues like before, which is a positive sign. Personally, I still regret they didn't bring back the private mode from Horizon 3, where multiplayer sessions were limited to just you and your friends. There weren't any random players who could join in a random way. And still regarding multiplayer, there's also no ranked mode. So that's the same, that's according to my own criteria. But I think it's a shame that there's no competitive ranked mode like we had back in the days of Horizon 4, because we know in advance that these kinds of modes really contribute to the game's long-term success. That allows for the creation of a really hardcore fanbase that will play the game very regularly, even if there aren't any new updates. I just think it's a shame that it's not coming back. To finish up with these somewhat average points, I wanted to talk a bit about the game's AI, which is indeed a bit smarter than in Horizon 5. I think it's because they reuse the AI system from Forza Motorsport. It's an AI that has finally understood it can brake and use its mirrors to avoid collisions in corners, for example. Honestly, it works much better than in Horizon 5 most of the time. When there are 2 or 3 cars side by side, it's still pretty good, but when too many cars start to bunch up in the same spot, the AIs are completely lost, and we end up with the same problem as in Forza Horizon 5, meaning the AIs just try to get back to their optimal racing line, even if there's a car in front of them that's stuck. Sometimes we're stuck in long collisions or accidents because the AI struggles to recognize it should brake and let you get moving again before continuing on its way. To finish, for me, there are still 2 drawbacks about this Forza Horizon 6. So, the first one needs to be qualified a bit, but still, it's the same. It's because I've been a Forza player for a long time. I still think that the customizations for a game set in Japan feel a bit lazy. So yes, there are new customization features, including 100 new rim models. You can now use different rims on the front and back. Yes, the Forza kits have been redesigned for each car, but overall, there really aren't that many new features. There aren't many new body kits. Even though we have some, there aren't many new parts to install on the cars. And there's still no option to customize the interior of the cars. Games like The Crew or Test Drive, with smaller budgets, and The Crew having nearly as many cars, pull it off easily. And there are types of customization missing that I think would be essential for a game like this, like being able to change the exhaust tips or being able to put neon lights on your car. So it's the same thing for someone who's new to Forza and has 500 cars here, which are customizable, with rims, with everything you want. Well, that's a lot, but for someone who has followed all the Forza games since they came out, it's true that on this point, it feels a bit lazy. I'm not asking for 50 body kits per car, but a little effort at least. For a game set in Japan, that would have been nice. Lastly, there's still one negative point for me, despite my personal reasons. The game just came out. There are already an incredible number of collaborations between Forza and all kinds of brands, and I think there are some collaborations that just don't belong. I mean, overall, in a racing game, collaborations with candy brands are a bit much. Seriously, enough already. When you see the number of car brands that exist, the number of SPA, tuners, customizers, regulators, tracks, racing organizations, when you see how many things there could be in Japan. Real brand partnerships, and then you see these old partnerships with candy brands. For the game's release, I think it's annoying. But anyway, the main thing to remember about Forza Horizon 6, despite these few average points or some positive ones, is that I honestly think, and pay attention to what I'm about to say, that it's the best Forza Horizon we've had so far. We can regret that the formula is the same. We can regret that there's very little risk-taking compared to previous Forza Horizon games. But the fact is, the Horizon formula still works. In terms of the map, it blows away all the other Forza Horizon games that came before. In terms of driving as well, and in terms of sound too. There's more customization, more game modes, more things to do. Overall, everything is better. In any case, on all the important points, this game is fundamentally better. Now, there's still a big question, which is what's going to happen in the coming months. Because if both expansions are terrible, if the game's seasonal updates are terrible, it will probably ruin the overall experience players have with this Forza Horizon 6. But right now, at first glance, if the devs keep doing what players want, if they keep listening, and if they don't overdo recycling cars and updates, I don't see why we'd get bored of the game quickly, and I don't see how this game could be worse than the previous Forza Horizon title. I think I've covered the important things. There are probably details I haven't mentioned here, and probably questions you won't get answers to, which is why you can of course use the comment section. If you want my opinion on something in the game, just ask and I'll answer. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I make lots of Forza videos. Horizon 6. I'm going to test, I think, more or less all the cars and videos. Talk about updates, follow the game's news, talk about DLCs, and any possible news. Discussing Horizon 6, other racing games, and games in general. Subscribe and like this video to give my channel and my thoughts on Horizon 6 a bit more visibility. And of course, don't hesitate to follow me on Twitch because I do a lot of live streams on Twitch. And because you can also come and ask me questions about the game, see even more Horizon 6 gameplay which might help you decide whether to buy the game or not. In any case, I hope this video was useful to you and that you found it interesting. I'll see you later for another video about the game. In the meantime, take care. Bye.